Hello! Okay, so first of all, in case you haven't had a chance to look at either of these yet, just so you know, I work with 6th and 7th graders, and I teach Latin, Spanish, German, and French for a quarter before I get a new group of kids and do the class over again, which is kind of fun. We are a one-to-one school, and we are a Google Apps for Education district, which means that all of my kids have something that looks like this and a login for Google, which is really wonderful. The way that I kind of tend to run my classroom, well, okay, first of all, this is what I do with my 6th graders. If you guys follow along on my Tumblr at all, you know that last year I decided to try gamification with my 7th graders, which was a wonderful adventure and I really enjoyed it. It's just not something that I'm going to talk about today at all, so maybe that's something I could save for another time. But how I run my class with my 6th graders primarily, like I said, everybody has a Google Drive, a Google account, and I share unit folders with them. Within that unit folder are daily agendas. So what they do is they log on to their device, they open it up, go to their Google Drive, go to Shared with Me, and then they go to, I don't know, say we're doing Spanish that week, they go to the Spanish agendas folder, and then they go to whatever day we're on. So at the end of the, there we go. If you go to, I don't know, say yesterday was Spanish Day 1, most of them will have forgotten by the next day that, oh yeah, yesterday was Spanish Day 1, we're not working on French anymore. So on my whiteboard in the front of the room, I always say, please open up to Spanish Day, whatever, German or French Day, whatever, so that they all know where they need to go. So just kind of an example. I always start, this is what I call my agenda, kind of our plan for the day. This is, I mean, I share the exact same thing with my kids. I have editing capabilities and they do not. All for the best, really. The first thing I always start with is the goal so they know what are we working on today, which is, you know, an evaluation thing as well as helpful for them. We usually start off with something. This was a verbal activity we all did together, and then we get to kind of another activity. So the nice thing about tech is that it's easy to jump from one thing to the next and not have to worry about too many transitions because clicking on a link versus passing out a new sheet of paper. And the other thing I really like about this is not having to make 80,000 copies of everything. So if they click on that activity, it takes them to what is basically a worksheet. Where it says make a copy of this document. So up on the top of your Google Drive, it says File, Edit, View, Insert, etc. Go to File, click Make a Copy, and voila, they have their own copy of the document which they are now able to edit. So I just have one document, all of them make a copy of it, and then they are able to do whatever the activity is. In this case, it is translating conversations from German into English with a partner and then reading them aloud. Which from then they jump onto our next agenda. Again, just going through the day, trying to get a lot of different activities. So that was mostly reading, writing. Now it's oral, and then they're going to do some choosing and some choice work. This part was either individual or with a partner because, you know, again, that's another choice thing is whether they would like to be social or whether they would like to, you know, just go ahead and get things done by themselves. Either way works. So these are, you know, just a project that I do with my kids, nothing big, but each of these options leads to different characters for their conversation. It basically is a PowerPoint. Well, here, let me click on one. Okay, so this one is dogs. Huh, okay. So if they wanted to do puppies, they could do this one, and they file, make a copy of that, and edit this one. I know another one is Anna and Olaf. I know another one is cats. There's football stars or whatever. And letting them pick and choose kind of, and the surprise, because I didn't say option 1 is this. They click on it, and some of them are like, oh my gosh, dogs! And some of them are like, oh, dogs, let me try a different option. So that's kind of fun for them, and it helps with student engagement, letting them pick and choose. And then always at the end of my day, just behavior management-wise, you never want somebody just sitting without anything to do, right? Well, extra time on one-to-one tech is really, really nice. These things usually correlate with something that we are doing today. The Smurfs is in German, which it's fun for them to watch the cartoons in the language just because they're hearing it and they're able to see and kind of understand. Other websites or always other homework or silent reading are always options. Yeah, let's see. If you felt like looking at another one, this is again very similar. Question. Sometimes with one-to-one technology and behavior management, It's really, really hard to get the kids to come in and sit down and get right to work because that transition from coming in and chatting out in the hallway to, okay, guys, it's time to go. Something that I found is really helpful, especially with tech, is giving them like a bell ringer or something because you never know which one is going to, oh, I forgot my this, I need to go get my charger, my computer is dead. So usually give them some sort of activity for the first set amount of time. So 5 minutes for this one to kind of warm up from whatever they forgot. Um, and again, there's multiple things. So if somebody comes in right away, I have kids who come in right away, open, they know, or they logged in the class period before so that they didn't have to waste any time and they like to come in and get right to work. That happens. And then they have 1, 2, and 3. And then I have the kids who come in and they get a drink of water and they open up their netbooks, which they haven't turned on all day, and it takes 3 minutes to start a netbook for the first time of the day. And then by the time they're finally logged in, they're just getting to number 1 before I say, okay, time's up, moving on. And they know it's not the end of the world. They know it's all for practice, but they also know that it's not. They're helpful activities, and it's not just like fluff sort of things. So it is nice to kind of get them started, get them going. And then again, jumping onto multiple activities, letting them know these are things that they need. They create their own. Something that is really handy for me that I discovered this year with the one-to-one tech and the behavior management and, kind of keeping on top of everything is if you are doing new websites or new projects or anything, is putting your instructions in a screencast, just like this, where you say, okay, you need to go to this website. You click here, you do this, and then you post it and you link it. So if they don't know what they're doing, they can watch the tutorial and they can skip ahead to the part that they don't understand or watch the whole thing, and then you don't wind up repeating yourself 80,000 times, and you can focus on people who have questions that aren't easily answered by a YouTube video that you already made, which of course doesn't work with everybody, but it does eliminate a lot of easy questions. So there's that. Again, just showing them and then extra time. Another thing that I find, like I was kind of talking about with the German one with their choices, is letting them pick and choose the things that they like the best. So this is an example of a menu or a choice board, allowing them to kind of guide themselves through a day. This is actually something that I did with my 7th graders. I don't know that my 6th graders would have handled it as well as my 7th graders did. But the idea behind a menu or a choice board is that they pick and choose as they go throughout the day what assignments they would like to do to cover the same content, basically. So this is actually French Colors and Artists, kind of is the topic. They started off with this because this is the first time they've seen this vocab, so it's a lot of general practice. Everybody does this game. And then they pick 2. And there's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options for them, so they read through each of the options and they need to just pick 2. And some of them love making a map and labeling our classroom, and some of them like the word picture, where you have to say the word over and over again to draw your picture. And again, up to them. So it's kind of nice to let them have that flexibility and that choice, and it's neat to see what they come up with. And I find that they tend to put a lot more effort into something that they chose versus me telling the student who would really rather not write a word over and over again and would really rather just draw a picture. The quality of work that comes out when you let them choose it's very interesting to see. And then again, last part of your menu, you can't not have dessert, right? There's always room for dessert. So they just get to pick one. This is something that's a little bit lighter. It's not as heavy as the entree, or not as much work usually, and something to just kind of put on top to kind of reach beyond. And then again, extra time. So yes, those are just some examples of things. I hope that kind of clarified and explained. This is a little bit of one-to-one plus behavior management, and I feel like I should maybe go ahead and explain that just in general, I'm a pretty laid-back person, and my kids pick up on that pretty easily, and I say, you know what? There are times when I need your attention, and there are times where it's okay if you're leaning over to ask your buddy what link we're supposed to be on. I don't mind. I don't mind them sitting around the classroom, that sort of thing. So if you're a person who hates it when kids are all over the classroom, sitting underneath desks and that sort of thing, then my style probably won't work for you, because that's something that really doesn't bother me. But again, everybody is different. Everybody's classroom is different, and I hope that maybe something that you saw here will help you. And things like that. I will maybe see you in the Q&A session. All right.